thank you for inviting me and having me. And it's hard for us to say I'm happy. Like, I'm not happy. I'm happy to be here, but it's like we are in a very big struggle here in Israel, and I know that it affects all of us. And thinking these days also about the hostages that are not here, about the soldiers, and hoping for better time for all. So I'll start with that. And I think one of the things that I'm happy to say about 50-50, that I think that these days it brings hope, that 50-50 brings hopes to Israel when we think about the future of Israel. And this is an option for a better future for Israel. And I would like to invite you for a little like take a time to hear about the project, and it's also hearing about Israel. I'll say one small sentence about my English. I always say that in English I say what I can, while in Hebrew I say what I want. Okay, so it's not my regular language, but I'll try, and I'll hope that it will work. And I'll be happy also to hear questions that you have, and to answer. So I called this small lecture saying like from anger, from anger to vision, or from anger to hope. And I think that I have a question, like, why do I start with an anger? And when I think about it, I say that activism is mostly, the first step of activism is being angry. Okay, so that you look on the, like, what you see in the world, and you get angry for things that are not okay. And there are people that, like, I can go like with them and say, oh, look at this, is so bad, and I don't care. And these people that say I don't care, mostly they won't be activists. But if I'm walking on the street and saying, oh, I'm so angry about that, and I'm so angry about that, that's the first step I can start with to make the change. And that's why I start there. I promise you that we won't stay there by the end of this lecture. We won't stay with the angriness. Like, I take the energy. I think angriness is energy that I can work with to change the world, or to change what I think should be in the future. So I'll share with you a minute my screen. 1 minute. Okay. Okay, so this was the project called 50-50 Partnership for Gender Equality. And as I said, it starts with an anger. Okay, I find myself like angry about the world that is not equal for men and women, and I think it's a bad thing. And if you ask my parents, they'll say that I'm angry about it like 46 years from the minute I was born, or I started to talk. Okay, so thinking, when did it start, is like, really, when I was so little, I saw that when I'm going on my bike, so my parents will say, be careful. And when my brother goes on the bike, he's like, oh, great, continue. And like, why do they tell me to be careful and not to tell him to be careful? And that did make me angry. And from this angriness, I think the next step is a vision. What is the vision? What do I think the world should look different? And this is what I'll tell you about today, the vision, and then I need to have a plan how to change the world. So when I ask Google if I can see pictures of governments in the world, so this is one of the answers, or 4 of the answers. What do you see here? Okay, all men governors. And firstly, it's cultural. Like when you look historically, in most places where decisions are being made, where men, it's not because it's good or bad. I'll say honestly, I'm not an historian person, like saying, why did it happen? I'm more thinking about what's the future. But when I look about that, I say, okay, this makes me angry. And then I need to have another vision, something else. Well, how do I think things should change? And while I've lived a few years in California, and then I knew RBG from like earlier, but only when I were in California, I read her books and I read things that she wrote, and her quote saying, women belong in all places where decisions are being made. When I read that, I felt like I got like a present to my hand, like saying, okay, I'm angry about the situation that women are not in the places where decisions are being made. Then I need to have another vision. And what is my vision? My vision is women belong in all places where decisions are being made. And then I started to look where in the world you can find a place where women are in the places that decisions are being made. And then I saw that, and you're all muted, so I'll ask myself and I'll answer. But usually I ask the people, where is the first place in the world that did have 50-50, 50% women? Yeah.
One moment, because it's really sweet. Let's do this for a moment. I'm opening the chat to everyone, and share the screen, and you can have people put in the chat.
Okay, so
it is.
Okay, so the question is, where is the first place in the world that had 50-50 in the parliament? The first 50-50 parliament in the world. Let's see if I can see the chat. If you don't need to know, you can just guess. Where is the first place in the world? Where are the maybe more than one place that had 50-50? Iceland. Oh, Israel. We are so far from that. Iceland, Sweden. Yeah, there are more answers. Denmark. Yeah, so this is the New Zealand. So New Zealand got to the 50-50 only 2 years ago, but they got there 2 years ago, and I see there's India here. So no, the first place in the world that got to 50-50 is Rwanda.
Can you reshare your screen, Yael?
Yeah.
We love.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see here on the left, this is the parliament now in Rwanda, 20 years after. The reason is a very tragic reason. Okay, but Rwanda was the first place in the world that had 50% women in the parliament. And the reason was because of the big tragic genocide they had. 700,000 people were killed in 1 month. And lots of politicians got killed in that genocide. And what happened is that it started in the small villages, that the men went to the war, and then the women start to deal with how to hold this village. And then they moved to do it in the big cities and in the states. And in the first time in Rwanda, they had a democratic elections. Okay, it was 2003. 20 years ago, it was the first time they had elections. And on that elections, they voted for 50% women in the parliament. And from that on, for the last 20 years in Rwanda, they have 50-50. But as I said, it's a very tragic story. But we can see other stories, as in Spain and as in New Zealand, that they got to 50-50 in the last 10 years. And Iceland and Finland, and they did it like step by step. It's not in Rwanda, it was nothing, and then 50-50. And in the other places, it started, in the first, in 1948 in Israel, we did have one minister, woman minister, that was Golda Meir. On that time, 1948, also in New Zealand, they had only one woman in the parliament, not in the parliament, in the government. And last, like 2 years ago, so New Zealand got to 50-50, and I hope Israel will get there as soon, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to do everything I can so Israel will get also to 50-50, but we are far away from that. Today, we have only 5 ministers, women ministers in the government, and we are only 25% women in the parliament. Okay, so we are far from 50-50. I'll say, unfortunately, in United States, that is also the numbers. Okay, the United States, as for politics, it's not like it's not something like I can raise my eyes and say, I want to be like that. But there are states in the United States that they do have 50-50, and because it's a very big place, so in every place the political situation is a bit different. But when I saw this, and I saw that in Israel, in most of the places, women are not in the places where decisions are being made, I said, okay, this is my new vision. I want Israel to be 50-50 in all places where decisions are being made. And then I had a question, where should I start with? And as Shirel said, we had the elections in 2022, the last elections, when Netanyahu's government, the one we are in now, did elections, and I woke up in the morning saying like, wow, this is so bad because of, from my aspect as a woman. Okay, as a woman, when I look and I see that the government is going to be mostly men, and men that they are, some of them are anti-equal. Okay, they are against equality. They want to leave the situation as it is. And then I woke up in the morning saying, I'm founding 50-50 and join me. And the first thing we did, right, is going, okay, I'll stop a bit of sharing and I'll say it like that. When I looked on the political situation, I said, okay, where can I start? And as you know, in Israel, we never know when is the next elections. We never know. Like in United States, it's 2020 and then 2024 and then 2028. But in Israel, we don't know when is our next elections, and it's very hard to start working for the big elections. So I said, okay, let's start with the municipal elections. And then I went to look on the data. And what I saw on the data, in Israel, municipal elections are every 5 years. But now it was not 5 because of the war, but usually it's every 5 years. And when I looked on the numbers on 2013, we had only 13.5% of women in the municipal councils. I said, okay, that's not good. And then 5 years after that, it was only 16%. I said, how come in 5 years the move is so tiny? Okay, we need to do something very big in order to change it. And I started to write, as I said, I saw the picture, I was angry. Then I had the vision. The vision was 50-50 vision. This is what I want us to have. And then I decided, how are we going to do it? And when I looked on the data, I saw that in 2013 and in 2018, there was thousands of women that were part of the elections. They didn't get elected, but they were a part of it. And said, how come they were part, but they were not elected? And what I saw is, I'm saying, some of you probably know and some of you don't. So in Israel, you don't vote for a person. Like for the mayor, you vote for a person, but for the municipal council, you vote for a list. And when you vote for a list, what I saw that most of the lists were lists of men on the top and women on the bottom. It means that if I vote for a list, mostly the men will go in, and that's why these are the numbers. And I said, okay, we need to stop and to change the system. And what I did with a group of thousands of people that came and are part of our movement, of 50-50 movement, was saying we'll go to all the candidates and tell them you have to be 50-50. But not only 50-50, you have to do it as a zip list. What is a zip? Men, woman, men, woman, man, woman, or woman, man, woman, man, woman, men. Okay, so if all the lists will be 50-50 as a zip, so we'll have a 50-50 municipal councils. And that's what we did for the last year. I'll show you also what was we have in Israel 257 municipal councils. We had only 14 female mayors. I'm going to say, like, I'm sad to say that after these elections that we have 2024, we are now on 15 female mayors. Okay, we got up only in one. Some of the ones that you see here are not anymore mayors because that's how politics works. But I'll say also sadly that 72 councils have no women in the municipal councils. Thinking about that, there's 72, and this is also now the same situation. Okay, and when I think about how to change it, I have a plan how to change it for the elections of 2028. But because I started working only in the last year, I couldn't change that. I couldn't work with the places that there's no any women. So I decided to work mostly in places that there are women, but there are not 50-50. And we started going to every candidate and saying, we want you to have 50-50 in your list and as a zip. And we got to a point on I can say it was also before the war, we got to a point that we had hundreds of lists all over Israel that saying we are 50-50 and we are going to be part of your mission of 50-50 if you are going to vote for us. And that's why I can say that we did the change. Okay, how do I know that we did the change? Because most of these lists did get in. I'll give you an example. You can see here Moshe Leon. Moshe Leon is the mayor of Jerusalem. I'm from Jerusalem, and he's the first mayor of Jerusalem that said that in his list will be 50-50 in a zip, and this is what happened. And after he did that, all the other candidates, not the Haredi, okay, not the ultra-Orthodox, but all the others said, okay, we are also doing 50-50 in a zip code, in a zip mode. So we did get to a point that it worked, okay, and then this was the situation we got on the 7th of October. It was supposed to be 3 weeks before the elections. Okay, the elections were supposed to be at the 31 of October 2023. And then 3 weeks before, we had a big campaign about voting only for 50-50 lists. And then the war came and we stopped everything. Everything stopped in Israel on October 7th. So also this, we stopped that. I did, like I can say, I knew that there won't be election at the end of October. I didn't know when there will be elections, but I had the vision saying like, we need that all the work we did like in order to get to these elections in a better situation, that it won't get lost. So from the minute that the war started, we were in touch with the voters and with the candidates, saying at the minute that we'll go back and talk about and we'll know when will be the elections, we are coming back and saying 50-50 is our mission. Okay, and we want to change it. And I can say, when I think about it, that two things happened in October 7th, as a lot of things happened, but when I think about these elections, first thing is voting for men that came from the army, what I call the generals, okay? So that's why we didn't have the change in the mayor. In the mayors, mostly the men, although we had about 80 candidates all over Israel, women that were supposed to be elected, or they were there. They were not, most of them weren't, they weren't getting elected. But what did happen is the idea of voting for lists that had men and women and 50-50 was much higher because of the war. This war is also about gender, and we saw the soldiers, the women soldiers fighting, and we saw the women that are dealing with hostages, and we saw so many things, understanding that women belong in all places where decisions are being made. And we can say about this war that women are not in the places where decisions are being made about this war. Okay, there were women in this war, and there are still women that are fighting, and there are women that are holding all the community and the municipal councils. But in the places where decisions are being made, unfortunately, I can say that this war, we can't see that. But the vision, as I said, this makes us angry. And as the vision saying that this is the next point, we want to get to a place that women will be in the places where decisions are being made, this did make the change. And I'm happy to say, 3 weeks ago, we had the elections. And what you see on the left, it's in Hebrew, and I'll translate it, is that we got to 20 municipal councils that got to 50-50. Okay, 20, it's out of 257, but it used to be 2. Okay, in 218, we had only 2 municipal councils that had 50-50. And now we have 20 municipal councils that got to 50-50. And you can see the names, Katzerin, Kiryat Tivon, Alfei Menashe. It's from the north to the south. Also religious places, not ultra-religious places, but religious places got to 50-50. And what you can see on the right, again, it's in Hebrew, and I'll translate it, is places that Bnei Shimon, it's a municipal council in the south, near Beersheba. They used to have 1 woman out of 19, and now they have 10 out of 19. Okay, in these elections, they got from 1 to 10 out of 19, and also in another place, Shoham, saying that when we see it in the media, and then when we see it on the newsletter papers, we understand it's an issue. And this is what was part of my vision, making the gender equality as an issue for these elections. And I can say we had a success, firstly, making it an issue, and secondly, we got to 20 places that got to 50-50. And I can say that in other, like 150 cities, in mostly, we got more women that we used to have, like in 2018, but we still have 75 places with 0 women. Why? Because they were not candidates. Okay, they were not on the list. Okay, so if they are not there, you can't vote for them. But this is my plan when I think about 2028. This is my plan to get to these places also in 2028. I think I have another thing, but I think Sherelle, maybe we'll stop a minute to see if there's questions, and then I'll continue.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. One question was about ultra-Orthodox communities. Are you even approaching them? And do you see any change in terms of women coming from those communities?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. And I'm happy to say that I have a good answer. These elections were the first time that there were 14 women all over the country, ultra-Orthodox women, that were part of the political elections. Okay? But they were not part of the parties. They were not part of ultra-Orthodox parties. They were part of liberal parties, and the liberal parties said, okay, come and be with us. And only one of them, in Ra'anana, got in. But understanding that it is the first time that an ultra-Orthodox women are part of the elections, this is a big change as I see it, because they did it. And I told all the 14 of them, put a sign for 2028. Okay, like you can't say I'm running once and then I'm not running anymore. Okay, you did it in 2024. It was very hard because it was the first time for most of the people hearing about the idea that the ultra-Orthodox women will be part of the municipal council. But you did change and again, it didn't happen in ultra-Orthodox places. It's only like places like Ra'anana. I can say about Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, it was the first time that we did have a ultra-Orthodox woman as a candidate. Okay, she didn't get in, but she did do the way. And when I look at it, I think about 2028. I hope she will get in. So this and I can say I meet Knesset members, and I always tell the ultra-Orthodox men, saying it's not a question if there will be ultra-Orthodox women in the Knesset. It's not a question if, it's a question when. Okay, when and how. And I'm sad to say they don't agree with me. Okay, they think that it's a mistake. That I'm not right. But I am working with the ultra-Orthodox women in lots of communities here, saying, do you think it's okay that, you know, what are the decisions in the municipal council? They decide about education. They decide about culture. They decide about the public atmosphere. Okay, they decide about things that it really matters if it's men or women sitting there. And when they understand that these are the places that decide about education, so something is changing there. So this is, I hope it answers for you. And I'll say another thing about it. 4 weeks ago, we had the marathon in Jerusalem. And it was the first marathon that also ultra-Orthodox women were part of. Okay? And it was 1 week before the elections that the first time that ultra-Orthodox women were part of the municipal elections. And I told everyone here that there is connection between these two. Okay, saying that that they are going, like, I think they did this research in United States that something like 75% of the women that are politicians, as when they were young, they did sports. Okay, like there is relations between the understanding how can you achieve these things when you are in sports. So when I saw that, I saw the marathon and I saw the ultra-Orthodox young women like running in the marathon. And then I saw like this women that was part of the municipal elections. So I said, okay, this gives me hope, and this gives me like thought, what else can we do?
Beautiful. So another question, there are a few more. Tell me when you want to stop and keep them for the end. But there is a question: if you support any woman, regardless of her political stance and issues.
No, it's an unpolitical movement. It's very political, okay, because we are dealing with politics, but not about parties. And not about, it can be from the left wing, right wing. One of the municipals that go to 50-50 is a settlement, okay? And I'm saying like, I have my political views, okay? And I'm part of the struggling and fighting for democracy in Israel, and I'm against this government. But as the view of 50-50, it should be everywhere. It should be in the right, in the left. It should be in the Bedouins, in the Druze, in the ultra-Orthodox, in the like everywhere should be 50-50. And I think part of the political situation in Israel will be better when there will be 50-50. Okay, I think it works together. Thinking about how to get there.
So
I hope
just-
it's answering.
Just to understand, so you don't support specific women, but you turn to the parties and kind of promote that as part of it. Okay.
Yeah, totally. And I'll say something about that. I'm not allowed also to support any woman. And more than that, I'll tell you another story about 50-50. I have two boys. And one day my big boy asked me, Mommy, if you are all the time dealing with girls, why do you have two boys? And I said, okay, I had to explain him about like we don't choose what will be our kids, and I'm very happy that I have two boys. And also, I'm not dealing with girls. I'm dealing with equality, and equality is good for men and women. So, as my vision, it's not about gender. I want all the men and the women to be part of a better society, and an equal society will do a better world also for my two kids. And then I told my kid that we have two boys, and our neighbors, they have two girls. And you see, the world is doing 50-50. And then he told me, Mommy, how does the world know how to do 50-50? And this question, how does the world knows how to do 50-50, is part of what I brought into my project. And this is also the name of the project called 50-50. But I want us to look at it as if 50-50 is the natural. And 50-50, this is what's supposed to be. It's not a new thing. It's a new thing, but because the political history, we didn't have 50-50 in the last 2,000 or thousands of years of civilization. But I want today to say that 50-50 should be that's how things should look like. And if they are not like that, so something needs to change. And here, like, tell me if there's another question, because if not, like, I'll go to the.
Let's go back to the presentation, and there are a few more, but we'll keep them for the end.
Okay, so this brings me, we had, just like this week, we had the Purim, right? And I wanted to tell you what I learned when I looked about Purim. So I'm going back to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Women Belong in All Places Where Decisions Are Being Made. And when I look about Esther, you know, Esther is the only woman in the Tanakh that we know that she wrote, okay? She wrote history, because in the Megillah, we hear that Esther is writing the story of Shushan. And when I read the this paragraph saying that Mordechai had this message to deliver to Esther, do not imagine that you, of all the Jews, wait, I can't see. I need to change. Wait, okay. From all the Jews will escape with your life by being in the king's palace. On the contrary, if you keep silent in this crisis, relief and deliverance will come to the Jews from another quarter, while you and your father's house will perish. And who knows, perhaps you have attended to royal position for just such a crisis. And I think when like Esther was one of the only people or only woman in the Tanakh that she was in a place where decisions are being made. Okay, usually most of the women in the Tanakh were not part of the places where decisions are being made. She didn't choose going there. We know it wasn't her choice, but her choice was to do an active thing, okay, and to act and to change. And then Esther sent back this answer to Mordechai, saying, "Go, assemble all the Jews who lives in Shushan and fast in my behalf." And when I think about it, I think it's a very common way for a women leader to think about. I need the community to be with me. I can't do it without you. I'll be the leader. And we see here a partnership between Mordechai, that he's outside the palace, and Esther, that she's inside the palace, and they are working together to a partnership. But more than that, Esther is saying, go and assemble all the Jews. I need you to be with me and fast in my behalf. Do not eat and do not drink 3 days, night or day. Like she's saying, only after I'll give, like, also my like, we'll do the same, yeah, and then I shall go to the king, though it is in contrary to the law, and if I am not, I'm to perish, I should perish. Ken v'kasher avadeti, avadeti. She's taking all the responsibility on the situation, saying, this is what I'm going to do. But she's not doing it without Mordechai, and she's not doing it without all her people. And then Mordechai did exactly what Esther commanded him, and we know the end of the story. And I'm thinking, like, reading today, you know, yesterday I went here in Jerusalem to the place of the families of the hostages, and we read together the Megillah, and like, I felt like, who knows, like, if this is the reason that each one of us are in this position, and on that situation that we are now, we need to ask ourselves, what is the thing we need to change? And then I went back to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, saying, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And again, as I see it, this is a present I got from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, saying, I have a big vision. 50-50 is a very big vision. And I take this vision and I'm thinking, how can I bring people to join me? And what I did is taking, again, this angriness and moving to a vision and then writing a plan, how to get there. And the first stage, we're doing it on the municipal level. And I'm happy to say, you know, Sherelle, when we talk, we didn't know when will be the lecture, but if it was 1 month ago, I couldn't say that we had to succeed. But now, because it's after the election, this is what we did for the first year. First year saying, like, we'll change it on the municipal level. The next step is to change it on the country level and on the political situation. And I can say it will be much harder. And I do have another step, and this is the municipal elections of 2028. Okay, and as a feminist, I always need to look back, and then I need to look ahead. Okay, and when I look back and I see that in Israel, like other places in the world, we started only with 1 woman in the government. Okay, 1948. Today we have 5. But I do want to get to a place of 50-50. But for that, I need all the parties to be with women, and it's not the situation. And I need all the parties to be in 50-50, again, in a list of a zip. Because also today, most of the parties in Israel are parties of men in the realistic positions, and women at the not realistic positions. And this is one of the things that I'm trying to do now, and lead others to join me to this vision. And yeah, and I'll continue. Like, I want to see if there is any questions now. I can say that I'm a group facilitator. That's what I did for years. So for me, just doing a lecture and not hearing from you, it's hard. So that's why I'm stopping, and then I want to hear from you, and then I'll go back, like, for the to the end of this session. So if there's any other question, you got it, Sherelle?
Yeah, they come to me. So I have a few here. I'm just trying to think which one to choose from. So we'll go first with the practical. Who's funding this? How is that working?
Okay, thank you for that question. When I started November 2022, I didn't have any money, but I needed money, and I did, like, I thought, like, how much money do I need for 1 year program, doing only the municipal program for the 1 year. And I need $500,000 shekels. It means like $150,000. And I did try to get to big funds, like asking them, maybe fund me. And I'll say truthfully that they didn't want to fund me. They said, that's a really good idea, but it's not that important in Israel. There's more things that are important, democracy, like, and I understand. Like, I also think that democracy in Israel is very important, but I think there is relations between democracy and gender equality. But I didn't succeed in convincing the big funds. So I went to a crowdfunding. I don't know how is it in United States, but in Israel, when you do crowdfunding, is if you put the number, and this is the number I put, like $500,000 shekels, and if you don't get to that number, all the money goes back to the people. Like, it's all that you get to the $500,000, or that you don't. And people told me, why did you go to $500,000? That's so much money, you won't get there. You should have done 100,000 and then another. And I said, if I don't have this $500,000 shekels, I can't work for a year. I need quiet to work for a year and to do my plan, and that I can take another person to work with me, because I can't do it alone. Or everything that you see here, we did 2 people that works for that, and a lot of volunteers that are part. And so I did crowdfunding, and there were 3,365 people who gave money, and mostly they gave small amounts, like 100, 200, 500 was a lot, but that's how I got. And I'm and that's why I worked for the last, I worked with this for the last year. So this, and now I'm trying to find the foundations that will say, okay, we saw it works. Okay, that's a proof of concept, right? It works for 1 year. I have a plan for, if I have a staff of 20 people, I have what to give them. Like, I have lots of plans to do. And these days I'm starting by doing funding also from big foundations. So if you know, and also from people, I'm saying, if the 3,000 or other people will give 50 shekels a month, okay, not a lot, 50 shekels a month, it's like $15, right? So if I'll have 3,000 people who's giving 50 shekels a month, I can work for, and then I can do a plan for the next 5 years, and then for the next 10 years, and not working for the next year. So this is the point I'm in now. If I won't have it, so 50-50 will close, and it will be a 1-year project for 2023. But I really hope that I'll find the foundations for that, and the people, and I'll ask also Shirel at the end if you can send whoever wants to put even 50 shekels, like $15 or $20. Every shekel and every dollar will help.
So thank you. I already have people in the chat asking about that. I'll move on to another question. How did people's reactions to the importance of this change after the war? Was there a change? How did you see and experience that?
As I said, the war changed Israel. The war changed everyone, each one of us. Okay, so the war changed. And also when I look about the political situation, the war changed. I think as I see, the main change is understanding that we need women in the political tables. Okay, and this is something that before the war, this war, I found myself explaining more, and now I don't need to explain anymore. I'll give you a small example. There was a meeting of Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister, with newspapers reports, and one of them asked him, Netanyahu, are you not bothered by the fact that there's no women in on the political stages of this war? And I said, it's the first time in 75 years that a reporter is asking such a question. Okay, there were never women in the decision making of Israel, okay, in the war. But it's the first time that the prime minister was asked such a question, and unfortunately, his answer was really bad. Okay, because his answer was, I don't understand the question. But all I feel, or I think that all the other people in that room understood the question exactly. So I think this is one of the things that changed in this war. I'll say about optimism, okay? I'm an optimist person, not because I was born optimist. Okay, I was not born optimist, but when I deal with feminism and with gender equality, it's easy to be optimist, because when I look about myself and about my grandmother, I know that my position is better than her, and probably it's the same for all of us here. Okay, for women today, when we look 100 years ago, thinking, I just realized that in the States, till 1974, a woman that wanted to have a bank account had to have a man with her in the bank account. Okay, till I see Marianne saying that that's right. Okay, till 1974. Okay, it's 50 years that women in the States can get their own bank account. So it's easy to be optimistic and see things are changing. There's a lot to change, but I'm optimistic that if we'll do exactly as Esther did, like understanding what is our position now to change, so we can see the change now, and we won't need to wait like 100 years. I think also 50-50 can be in Israel. Can be in Israel in not in a long future. I think if we do a good work, it can change also in Israel.
So I think you actually answered the other question I was about to ask, which was someone asked how you stay so optimistic and what gives you strength. So I think that one you asked. And we have just 5 more minutes. So if you want to go back to your presentation, and we'll see then if there are a couple more questions.
Yeah, okay. So as I said, like when this is something that I changed after October 7th. And I'm saying, like, now hope should be 50-50. When we think about 50-50, this is the hope. And when I think about the big struggle that we are in, that the rehabilitation, okay, would be 50-50. And more than that, everyone here in Israel is talking about bitachon, about security. And I want to say that also security is 50-50, okay? Men and women deciding together about security makes us more secure. And when you think about it, when you go into a room, and it's very easy to imagine, okay? When I go into a room when there's only men or only women, and what happens when I come into a room that there's 50-50? I think that as a feeling of secure for both genders, when you have 50-50, it's more secure. So this is like when I'm thinking like what changed for me after the October 7th is that hope is 50-50, the security is 50, like thinking of how are we going to go out from the big, like it's almost Khurban, yeah, okay, like it's a very big struggle we have. So I hope that 50-50 will be in a way like it happened in Rwanda, okay? It was a path of rehabilitation, okay? Like the 50-50 was the path for rehabilitation.
So we do have time for a couple final questions, so I can ask them. One is, you mentioned that in many places there weren't women that are candidates. Are you doing anything to kind of bring that change?
Yeah, totally. For 2028 is working with all the Arabs, the Bedouins, the Druze, and the ultra-Orthodox places that there were not women candidates. It, like I can say in a way, like I'm happy to say that there's 5 years to do that work, okay? Because it will be harder than doing the work about the zip lists, okay? The zip lists were just vote only for 50-50 lists, but if you don't have women in the candidates, you can't vote for them. But I really think after October 7th, this is something that can change. I can say that there is 11 Arab municipals that women first time got in, okay, in these municipal elections. But in all the places, it's one woman. It's one woman. And I'll say from my research, when it's one woman, she can do very minority things because she's in a minority, okay? So we did reach out to these women, and we'll give them all the tools that they'll have success in their in this paragraph, but it will be hard. But they do have a plan how to do that. I did learn how they did it in a very conservative places in India and in like other places, and I took that and I turned it to a plan in Israel, how to work. And the main thing is saying that this is something that has to change. We can't wait. Okay, it has to change in the next 5 years. So yes, it has to change. We have to do it.
So one last question, in terms of the next generation, are you meeting younger people? Do you see any change? Like, what can you say about that?
I think the younger people, what I can say, when I was young, I thought that I live in an equal equal world. Okay, that's what I thought, because everything I thought was open for me. And when I see today the younger people in Israel, they understand that we have to do a path in order to get to an equal world, or to an equal world as in politics. Okay, so I meet a lot of them. I tell them that it's the responsibility for the women to step in, but it's also the responsibility of the men doing partnerships. Okay, so in both, like, it's both men and women for equality in like gender equality. So I do see the change. They are not in the same place we were. They understand why it's important. Again, I think I didn't understand that till I was like in my 20s. Why is it so important? And when I look about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I say she understood that in the 70s. Okay, she understood that in the 80s. Like she really did it, and it took time for others to understand, because we just thought, okay, it's an option. If women can be elected, that's enough. But it's not enough. We need to change the society so that they will be elected, not only that they will be candidates.
Yael, thank you so much. As I mentioned at the beginning, and I'm definitely feeling it now, it's a time where every strength, hope, ray of light, and optimism are even more crucial. And it's amazing to hear your passion and know that you're doing this. We'll send a follow-up email with all the information. If you can put in the chat where people, if anyone wants to immediately go to the website, we'll have it in the chat, but no worries, we're going to send it alongside the recording and a lot of interesting reading material in the follow-up email. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I'll say a minute about the website. The website, because we don't have a lot of money, so it's just like it's a website of Canva. Okay, that one of the people of the partners did, and then you can see how also to fund if you want, like to, and if you know people that will be interested of hearing about that, so I'll be happy to do it with the English I have.
Lovely. Yael, thank you so much. I think CSP is known for supporting teachers and people in organizations, like in bringing them to the world at the beginning of their path. And this is definitely a worthy cause. So thank you very much. Thanks everyone for being here.